All right, it's been some time. We've had some family things happening, and this pinball project's taken about a year. It's kind of unbelievable how fast time flies here. So what we've got here is the Cleveland Ultimate, I don't know, pinball kit, I guess. And what that is the surround sounds and all the bells and whistles that go inside the pinball. So I just wanted to take a moment to, I guess, document the packing process. I mean, this stuff is pretty packed, in this box, as well as just thoroughly wrapped, all things considered. It's going to take some time to unwrap it all so we can see what all is in here. So I'm going to go ahead and pause the video. All right, I just want to take the opportunity to see all the stuff out of the box. It's a lot of stuff. Something to consider is just keep an eye on a little bag full of screws. There's only like 2 of them there, but I almost threw those out. So we got a lot to unwrap. All right, everything's unpacked. We got I'm going to use that as basically a topper over there. I think those are like not the exciters, but that's here on the ball, like sort of move around. That's what the solenoids are. Looks like power supply. We've got some maybe button boards and maybe an extension board of some kind. I don't know, I've got a lot to learn on what I'm going to be doing here. There's a plunger, some wiring, I guess maybe going to that, I don't know. Those are exciters, so you can hit the cabinet and the ball moves. Got surround sound systems, and there's a shaker, there's the buttons, and some ribbon cables. One thing on the amplifier, when I got that out of the box, there was a couple of those little, I guess, moisturizer killers. Those were actually in this, I guess, board itself. They're really just kind of crammed in there. It's nothing that the Cleveland team did. It's just part of the manufacturing process. There were just kind of like, 3 of them, 3 of those little packets that you find in, like, I don't know, shoes, or, just the silicone little packet of balls were in there. So I just had to take those out. I was able to shake them out. I was able to find them because when I was placing the amplifier down, I heard something ruffling around in there, and sure enough, there were 3 packs that were kind of stuck in there. So I was just able to shake them out. I'm going to start getting to it. I'm going to try to follow the official tutorial. It looks like it's about an hour long for the ultimate set, which is what I've got here. I'm going to try to hopefully breeze through that, and I'll kind of pause and reflect along the way here, but I'm going to follow suit on the tutorial, starting with the buttons. There's a lot going on here. So to kind of consume, basically what I've done is I've watched the official tutorial. It's about an hour long, and I'm about to begin. So there's different ribbon cables here. The shortest ones, these are going to be on your left and your right side buttons. This, I guess the second longest one is for your service board, and then these are to your main board. There's one that's, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 feet. That's going to the light bar itself. I'm going to put the light bar on top of the, the cabinet as a topper. So that's already tested in good length. I'm about to begin here. I'm thinking I just need to like place all this stuff like in the cabinet to make sure that it's where I want it. And so I'm going to go ahead and start doing that. All right, so I started with the buttons themselves. Basically, you're getting 4 of the white RGBs. You can tell that they're RGB because they've got the the red, green, blue cable and the yellow and red connected to it. You're gonna have to grab some of these washers here, or nuts, I should say, and you just feed the button through the cabinet, and you put the washer, or the nut, I should say, at the end of it, and you just tighten it in. If you're following the tutorial to a T, I took an X-Acto knife and I just made an X. And then for each one of these flaps, I also just sliced in half. So it just goes in pretty easily as a whole. So I'm gonna go ahead and get the other set situated. All right, so I've got the buttons in place. I just put the nuts on, as you see. You wanna look at the orientation. You want the sort of lip adjacent to the wood itself on each one of these. So let's take a look at what we got here. So I've got the 2 RGBs on both sides, and then there it is. So the button color, you don't really choose from the kit, but this works out. I tried to differentiate them. I'm trying to find my finger here, so that things aren't lined up, you know, in the same line here. So that worked out. I do have one extra. Well, there's the fire button. That's also RGB. This guy is a launch button. I've got to go and find a launch button that will fit and figure out where that might go on the board itself. I'm told that the launch button that I get, you know, as long as it fits, you know, I'll have an output to put on the board. I'm gonna go and try to figure out where all this stuff ends up needing to go on the board, and then I'm gonna try to start mounting some of these. All right, so I've got most of the pieces laid out on where I wanna mount them. Probably gonna just go in segments here because there's so much going on here. So first thing is the service board. What I'm kind of doing is trying to figure out the best way to place this around the coin door, and this seems to be the only location where it's not going to actually hit anything, and I'm going to just mount it there. So let me show you how I'm going to do it. So I've got a couple scrap pieces of wood, and for precision, I guess, we're going to check the dimensions here. I'm pretty sure it's like 1 inch by like maybe 3 inches. So the thickness here is 1 inch, and the thickness here is, looks like 2 inches here. So I just took 2 pieces of scrap wood. Within the kit, you've got these little brackets. I ended up putting electrical tape around it just to be extra conservative here. And I've just mounted it to the back side of this. So the white is going to be going up against the cabinet itself, and I'm probably gonna wood glue this. I might actually, you know, screw it in, but as a whole, it's just gonna like rest right up against the wood, and these suckers are mounted to the scrap pieces of wood. So all in all, it's gonna look pretty seamless. I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Behold the service board. How that actually happened was a lot of work. So I was trying to put it up here, but then the LED bar there was hitting when it opened all the way up. And in terms of the coin door itself, the only spot that this fits is right along that edge. And I did use the blocks that I was talking about. You can see there and there. And that allows just enough space for that ribbon cable to not touch, you know, any of the components, but I did, yeah, let's see if I can get it. But what I did is I did put a little electrical tape around that bracket just to be extra safe, but that works out. All right, service board's in. Also the amp is also in. I centered that. It's 6 inches on both sides from the edge. And all it was 4 screws. This is going in the panel that lifts. So I'm gonna go and secure the panel so it's immobilized. Let me try to think what I'm gonna do next. I might start mounting these couple things, and let's get focused on this little guy. This is the adapter for the SSF. Long story short, I'm just gonna put this where it is. I'm gonna put you know, 2 little sticky things, or maybe 4, just to secure it in the location. But what I did is I took these, the wires, they fed right through the vent there. And this is the wire that's on the far left of the adapter that's underneath this. This one's the middle one, and that one's the right one. So I'm gonna go under here so you can see it. So there it is. And it's just going up there. All right, so I wanted to reach out to the Cleveland group about the base shaker. I think it's probably gonna go inside the cabinet instead of underneath like the install says. Just getting a confirmation before I actually secure that. So I moved on to the buttons because you know, I see shiny things and I move on to the next thing. So what we've got to notice here is the buttons themselves. They've got 2 of these cords in them, like in each one. And the most important part is that they just go in the same slot. You know, the left side is the button wire and the right side is the LED wire. It doesn't matter which one it is as long as it comes from the same button. So for documentation, what I did was I did exit, start, coin. That's extra ball. And then these are additional buttons that are at the bottom of this board here, those 3. So down, left, right. That's what I chose to do. You know, just looking at it, you know, I've got to get the fire button installed here, and that wire is definitely not long enough. So I'm gonna either have to build an extension or see if I can get an extension added to, you know, the wire as a whole. I might just end up buying a whole roll of wire. It might be cheaper as a whole, and it's easy to do. I guess while I'm here, the plunger, the little trick here is I had an upside down arrow, and maybe that's like what is standard, and that's fine. It worked out, but the board that is on this plunger, right, doesn't just fit in the hole itself. What I had to do is unscrew 3 screws at the back of the plunger itself. Let's see if I can show you. So there's the 1, 2, and then 3 at the bottom. I had to unscrew those, so then that whole like casing came off, and this little doohickey here just holds it in place. You can, you know, lift that up over that. Just when you pull the plunger, that's what's actually pulling the thing here. So I had to take that out, the board itself, so I could fit in the plunger, and then I had to screw those 3 back in. So it looks like that, right? Otherwise, it will be upside down, which you don't want. But that worked out. It was easy to install here. All right, so the solution for the boards on the buttons, I either had to get extensions or find a way. And this is the only way that I could find that would fit here. I'm gonna have to get extensions for the fire button wire, but that's a whole nother thing. So what I did is I placed the button board, the right side here. And you can see I just put it right next to the others. So everything's all nice and clean on the one side. Then I took, you know, the ribbon cables, I just kind of wrapped it around, and the other cables that need to get situated to the main button board. I've put the button board here. It's as tight as it possibly could get. That's the only place I could get everything to fit. And then the right button board is here. Just trying to get it for placement. And that's really it. So I'm gonna go ahead and probably start working on mounting like this guy, because you can see there's a lot of different wires there that I'm gonna have to mess with. And probably that guy, but the hardest part with all this is just placement. This is like the plan at least, but I'm sure it's gonna be moved around otherwise. They're coming together. I've mounted that solenoid there. I just moved the wires up to to give it some clearance. And then same sort of thing over here. It's about 3 inches off from the base there. Plenty of clearance. And I zip tied a bunch of things around there. Still don't know what I want to do with these. I've got to connect these somehow, but it's shaping up. All right, more of these solenoids here. What was provided wasn't long enough to fit, horizontally. I want to put, one horizontal bar there and then one back here. That seems to be the preferred style there. So what I did is I took, this is 23 inches of, wood here, and I just cut it the size of the width of what was provided. I tell you exactly what mine is, but yours might be different. So I just took that, rested it on some wood, and I went 23 inches wide. If you've got the same cabinet, that's what you'll need. And you'll just need to make it the width of the, whatever that white plasticky sort of thing is. So I'm gonna get some L brackets, and I think I'm gonna put it like about there, and then one just in front of the stop block or the pivot joint there. I'm going to go ahead and start. All right, so the solenoids are all installed here, and I guess the tip here is this is a 23-inch long wood, and it's just the width of this white styrofoam type material. I've got L brackets here. Basically, I've got 2 to keep it straight over there, and then 2 more there. But I've got it on all these, so it's not touching anything. And in terms of like where the TV monitor is going to run, that's where the dowel rod is. We've got enough clearance throughout. It also rests up, on these bars there, so that again has clearance. I'd say the trick with the boards, I didn't mention this before, but I had left over like feet here that really helped. It gave some extra clearance with the boards themselves, so I had enough wire. It was also a lot easier to install. You can see I haven't installed this board yet, but I've got clearance, and I just go right down on it. The spacers that come with it, I'm sure work just fine. I mean, we're just talking legs here or spacers, but being able to see where you're going and having a little elevation certainly helps, at least for this build, the Game Room Solutions. So I'm going to go ahead and maybe install maybe the shaker or the base shaker maybe. I think I'm almost done. For the sake of documentation, the back there, it is the pin there is the back. This is the front left, which is this guy. And the front right is that guy. And then finally let's see here, where are we at? This one here, the middle is this guy here, right below the right side. So that's pretty much it. All right, everything's coming along nicely. The shaker motor seems to fit here perfectly, and that's it. I've just got the 4 screws in there, and that's going in that outlet there. I did a bit of cable management, and this is pretty much done. I still need to hook up those coin door wires there. I've got to solder the coin cable there. But basically, you'll be able to push the eject coin button, put coins in it, I guess that's the only other thing. So all of that will work with a single coin. I guess you could also use the coin button on the front. So I've still got to do that. To install these suckers, the little plate just kind of screws off. The positive is this red, coil here. So that's just above the 40. And I checked on all of them. The red is above the 40 each time. So I'm going to go and install the plate itself, probably here. So it'll go like right there as well. And then the other one's going to go right in front of the plate here. And then right in front of the plate there. So as a whole, see if I can get it here. So there and there. It's about even distance there. And I was debating if it should go in front of the block or behind it. And it just seems like it's going to get better sound here, just because the distance between, the front, the lockdown bar and the front block isn't very much. And I feel like it would just not be as equal, right? Because I'm trying to get the equal distance sort of thing. And that just fits well. All right, so I got the exciters in. You can kind of see I've got a little wire management here. Also the other exciters there. Again, wire management, I'm just kind of curling it around. I still need to tighten this up, but I've got to wait till the board's secure as well as that one. Here's the other one. Again, the 40 watt, or whatever that says, the 40, that's where the red is on each one. And then here's the other one. So looking at it. All right, starting to polish things off. I just installed these, they're called the aluminum grill covers. These are 140 in size, and it just takes 4 screws. Just covered that up because there's a hole here. I think the original design was to allow a user to stick their hand in this hole to access the inside. I utilized that space for a fan on both sides, and I just took 4 screws on each to cover that up. This over here I'm going to use for a subwoofer, outlet. And then here I'm using the front as a passive fan, I suppose. And I'm just going to zip tie these. It allowed me access to get the amplifier and wires all situated. All right, while I'm down here, I'm going to take the SSF power block, which is here. And I'm going to have that separately. All the other power is on a power strip slave, and it's all based on this power button here that will turn on all the monitors, everything all at once. The SSF, though, the problem is how do you get this in the cabinet without tearing up, the MDF altogether? The cord, the outlet is too big. There's no removal of this power block, from its source here. That basically the outlet here is the only thing. So this block is not going really anywhere. It could go in the cabinet if you made a massive hole, but I'm not going to do that. So what my solution is I took, the amplifier cord there. You can see there, I kind of zip tied it all together. And then I just ran it down the leg here. And I took a zip tie anchor. You can see it's right there. You just slip a zip tie in the little hole, and it's just like a little sticker. Powerful though. And then I did another one there. So by default, it looks like this. I didn't want to put this all the way up because the power button is right there. I don't want to mess with that too much, right? I want the give to allow easy access. So not all that bad. I'm going to push the wires up against the wall as well as the cabinet when it's all said and done. So that's going to be streamlined. This block is always going to be running parallel with that one light. So I'm getting the wiring for the left and right front speaker. That's behind the grill at the top of my playfield. And wiring up a bass. Something that I noticed while I'm down here, these little, let's see if I can get one of these guys. These little guys, right, you unscrew those two little, screws there. That opens up like a little hole that you stick the wire in, and then you tighten it back up, and that secures it. While I was in the process of doing that, I noticed that the plus and the minus, half of those wires were backwards. Like the red was in the minus and the black was in the plus. So you might want to check that when you do get your kit, just to be extra safe. And then I also noticed, this is a big deal. It's just probably a good idea to check them anyway. You can see that red one hasn't been stripped yet. Not bashing by any stretch. I'm just trying to do my due diligence on the documentation of what I've done personally, because I'll probably reference my own video at some point down the road. So I don't think this is going to be used, but all these others are maxed out, so that's good. All right, so positioning the bass or the subwoofer, you can see that is a perfectly centered bass here. I think maybe I can move it to the left a little bit, not much, but you can see I'm not going to do anything here. I'm not going to put like a screen on it or anything, because this is good. This is a 6.5 inch subwoofer, and this length that they cut is approximately 4 inches, maybe 4.5. But the, what do they call it? The aperture of the base itself, there's like a cushion ring that goes around the base itself, or the subwoofer, and then there's the outer rim as well. That's all part of that 6.5 inch. So I'm pretty happy with that. I was a little nervous about it. I'm going to go ahead and move it over just a little bit, and then I'm going to secure it on the other side of the cabinet. There it is centered. I've got the 4 screws in there, and that's all it is. All right, moving back to this expansion board. I did not receive the power cord. Cleveland, the company here has been so great, so responsive, and making things right when and if that ever happens. I didn't have the power cable that goes into the 12 volt. If you've been following my work here, the terminal blocks are going to be supporting most of this stuff. So what I've got here, this is the 12 volt, and these two are the 12 volt terminal blocks. I've got the 12 volt, going through the cabinet to here, and the 12 volt power supply are these first two spots there. And then for this expansion board, I plugged in the power. I kind of looped it around that. And then the expansion board terminals are the second ones. And then from earlier, I hooked up the coin door light. Again, feeding the wires here. These two are the coin door light. What I've got left is the blower and the 2 beacon lights, and I think I'm done. All right, I forgot about the speaker wires in the back. I just put the positive and negative back there. You can see there's the positive and the negative. And what I'm using, these are left over from a prior project. You just gotta crimp those on there and stick them on the little metal slots there. I'm using this as the crimper. All right, so the 12 volt power supply, this was already hooked up by the Cleveland group here. The only thing I added was the blue wire and the black wire here. This is the V positive, and then the COM, which is your negative. And this is fed through the cabinet along the side, and then it goes up to the terminal blocks here. That's giving the power to the terminal blocks with the red clips at the top there. That's going to be your blower, the beacons, coin door, and that's pretty much it. Well, and the light bar, power for this board here. All right, so the light bar, there's a black lid that goes over this, and there's 2 screws that are on the outside of this, and you just unscrew those 2 caps, and here you are. So to install this, I had to find long enough screws, and then I used 2 of the smallest spacers that the Cleveland group supplied, so I've doubled up on that, and that will hold enough space between there. And what I've done is I've already put in the ribbon cable as a whole. I'm probably going to remove the ribbon cable from the other end, and then I'm going to slide it through the, the little hole there. So that's pretty much the extent of what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and get started. These beacons have little magnet feet on them. They pop right out, but you have to kind of shimmy them. I'm using 2 of these, I don't even know what these are called here, but like super erector set screws here, or screwdrivers. And what I've done is I was prying and I just kept digging, right? There's glue in this, but it's not strong enough to actually hold the magnet. They're just super strong magnets. You could probably just leave them on there, but I know there's a myth that the magnets affect the TVs and specifically CRTs, but I don't want to take the chance just to be safe. All the magnets are out. There they are. There's a little glue in there. That's what made it a little difficult. In conclusion, these little metal prongs, they're not coming out. I've tried to rip those things out. I don't know if they're glued. I don't know if they're attached to the thing somehow. Those things aren't coming out. So what I did is I just took a drill and I made 3 holes. You can see that's where I made them. Then on the front, you can kind of see where I placed them. I did notice a little circle indentation in the plastic. You can kind of see one right there next to the metal. And those ran right into the holes that I was going. You can see the markers that I kind of marked there. And then I just spotted those and I was like, that's perfect. So I've got 3 there and I'm gonna put 3 on the other one. All right, all set. You can see I mismarked here, but just give you an idea. You can kind of see the little circle that's indented there. I mean, you can see there's one right there. So the one that's closest to the bulb worked. There's another one here. And then this one, there wasn't one, but I just looked, I eyeballed it, and I'm like right on that edge there. And that gives you plenty of clearance and secure of that whole beacon. My workbench for the beacons, I just use the bottom of the box. Leave it to me here. But before I trash this, this is the subwoofer that I used. Daytona Audio Classic Series 6.5-inch subwoofer. It's a DCS 165. Before I trash this, this is the beacon light, the Wooloo, Wooloo? The blue and red came in this. It's a 12 volt. I'm gonna get this installed. Moving on to the blower install. What I needed to do was get this to be a 45-degree angle because you want the air pointing downwards on you. Otherwise, the air is just blowing right over the top of you on top of the back box. So what I did is I just took some scrap wood, cut it at a 45-degree angle so that it's pointing downwards, and that's really it. I'm going to go ahead and get that installed. All right, here's everything installed up here. So I put the ribbon cable to the fan, or the, here, let's see if I can get my finger out of the way. The light bar goes right underneath here. There's just enough clearance for what it is. Just goes right under, nice and clean. And there she is. So I'm gonna go ahead and get the wires hooked up. Here's the first view of it all centered. So that turned out pretty good. Jumping back to this launch button, I got this from Pinball Life, and for this to be compatible with the Cleveland, bundle that I've been putting together, I've got to change out the, the light bulb there with an LED. I just got to lift that out and then stick it in, and then I'll be able to install this. I just popped open the light bulb. I literally just pulled it out, and then I stuck the new one in, and then I pushed down on that, and everything's working here. So here's the, well, maybe not. You need the, you see that little foot there? You need the little black thing touching that. So I'm gonna maybe pause the video so I get that aligned up, but the intent here, right, is that, you see there, needs to be clicking. All right, so once you kind of set it in there, then you kind of twist it to get it on there. So I just needed to twist that sucker. So that's the installation there. I just need to put on some wires here, and this will be good to go. Always something. On these buttons here, you see these little notches there? I need that to be flush, so I'm gonna kind of not saw that off, but I'm gonna pry that off so that's flush, and the nut will hold this. So I'm gonna figure that out. It was easier than expected. I just took pliers and I gripped them, and then I just started twisting the plier, and it just twisted right off. All right, there it is installed. So I just stuck it in there and put on the nut there. There's just enough space for it. Got to wire it up. All right, jumping back to the beacons here. I'm gonna have to solder some end points. I created a breakaway, so I can remove that as a whole. The light bar, however, there's no way to get a breakaway here because of the ribbon cable. So I'm gonna have the board close enough on the back where I can just pull that out if I ever need to, because I'll have paneling here, and the panel has a little vent that I'm gonna feed the wires through. So I wanted breakaways on the beacons and the fan for what it's worth. The trick here is the beacon and what is positive and negative. What I'm looking at here is the positive terminal is there, and they actually connect, they solder a black wire here, I guess just to make the wire itself all black, which is kind of annoying for this project at least. So I've got to follow this. It looks like it loops and it goes down. So this outside wire is the positive, and the outside is the negative. Now, when I looked at the red one, it was in a different hole. So you're gonna have to open this up and then just kind of follow the black wire that's connected to the red wire on which end that is. What I did here is I took the LED project. I had a number of these plugs still. What I did is I ripped out the middle wire, because this is an RGB wire here, and I just took out the middle terminal. You can basically pull that out, and that's really it. Okay, here's the ends of the beacons. I taped the wire that was positive at the end, and I tied these together. Now I'm gonna go ahead and put these on the terminal, and let's get this hooked up. All right, so there you have it. You got the negative for the beacon, the positive in that second one. The third one is the fan, or the blower negative, and then the blower positive there. That's just going in the board here, right in this extra one. I had to get this separately. It was like $20, but that is gonna cover all the toys. And that's it. So I've got the plug that we just got in there. This is coming into the board, a positive and negative, or sorry. This one is the 12 volt. That's the power. That's going into the terminal block here. That's what this is. This guy here is connected to the other board. So I've got black and then 2 red, right? And that's going to this sucker here. You can see the placement. You've got the 2 red and then it skips, and then the black. And that is all the hookup, I think. I got to get that launch button installed, but this is looking pretty good. All right, all that's left is the launch button. And then I also forgot that I want to wire up these loose wires from the coin. So, you know, you can put in the quarter and it'll get a coin inserted as well. Just got to solder the wires here. But this is looking pretty good. That's what it turned out with the 12 volt blower and beacons. That's all I did there. And this is looking pretty clean. I'm sure there's always more that you could do, but that's looking really good. All right, before I throw the blower box away, let me see what I was saying. There she is. So it's a 12 volt, 4 amp, 7 amp fuse. Just for documentation. All right, done soldering. Here's the outcome. Basically, I took those pigtails from the LED. I ripped out that middle wire like I was talking about before, and I soldered those together. There's the plug. There's the next one. There's the plug. And then here is the next one. What I'm going to do now is just kind of zip tie these together so they're all kind of together in a particular way. And I'm going to seal this up. I think I might be done. All right, cable management time. I wanted to secure this to the VESA mount, so I just did it at the bottom here as well as up top. So it's nice and flush. All the stuff that's hanging right now are the pigtails that I was describing. Those are going to go through the hole at the top of the back of the panel. So it's going to be pretty nice. I can break away without having to get back in here. The only time I'm going to need to go back here is maybe using this thing. And I'm thinking maybe I need to put it like underneath here or something so it's all accessible in one place. I really might do that, but it doesn't look like that ribbon cable is long enough. So I'm probably just going to leave it there for now and start using this sucker. That's about it. I'm going to go ahead and get the back on, and then I'll show you the results of the pigtails. All right, more cleanup. So all the pigtails, the tops are on the top of the cabinet. I'm going to go ahead and put the back on, and this is all going to just go through the little vent there. I did label all of these so I know what connections go to what. Basically, we've got, well, that says left upside down. This is the right, and then this is the blower. So it's going to be pretty easy to hook it all up if it ever gets unplugged. Let's just hope this sucker works after I seal it all up. But I do realize there's like a circle at the very bottom. This is going to be holding this stuff. This is the fan output. And I really am thinking, like, do I move that over? I don't know. We'll see if I'm going to have problems with the DMD to turn on. That's what this is. I assume it's once you set it up once, you're pretty well set. But I'm going to go ahead and seal this up. The idea here, there's the pigtails for the 2 fans. And then I'm going to just feed that in. And all the pigtails are already set up. And the LED circuit is across the board. That's going to be really clean. Let's see if I can zoom out here. All right, so the back is now on. So there you are. Everything is all fed in there on pigtails, so I can easily break apart this if I need to without uninstalling a lot of the things. So not a whole lot that we can do here with the LED circuit. That really has to be there. And I'm okay with that. We're not going to be in the back of this. I'm going to do the same thing down here. All right, now to the launch button. I did get one extension for the, what was it, the plunger. The wires just were not long enough, so I had to get one extension. I think it was like, I don't know, $4 or something. It was a lot of money for what it was. And it came with extra set of wires, of course, and I've got enough for 2 of these insert plugs for the launch button, which is needed. So I'm going to use the ends there to go into the board, which is convenient. So I'm going to cut these top things off here, and I'm going to solder it to the speaker wire that I've been using. And then I'm going to take, I found a daisy chain from an old project. And what I did is I just ripped off the wire on, each part of those daisy chains. I've got 4 here. And these things fit on the cherry switch perfectly. So it all worked out, right? So I've got to solder that to that, and then the other end to these guys here. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I've got the shrink wrap on there, and then I always double up on electrical tape just to make it a little more secure. So there's the connection there, and there's the connection to the daisy chain ends that I've got there. It's just going to make it more secure to the cherry switch. There's more than one way to slice the pizza here. I'm going to go ahead and get this plugged up. Just want to recognize the LED board, or I should say button board here. Again, for documentation, I'm going to reference my own video, I'm sure, at some point. So making it easier to figure out what's on the button board itself is the goal here, and it's obviously a challenge here. The last step is to set up the coin door. The set of wires that are already on the Game Room Solutions coin box. We've got these 2 switches here. At the beginning of the series, I added 2 additional switches. And what I'm going to do is take half the length of this cord, and I'm going to solder those daisy chain cables that I was using just a few moments ago. And I'm going to put ends on them as well, and I'm going to stick those suckers on these switches up here. Remember, the additional switches is if you push in the coin button, it moves this little bronze little like clips here into the switch there, so you can add a coin using the button of the coin. You could insert the coin, which is for this stuff, or you could push the coin door. You could push here as the coin as well. I don't know, it depends on the versatility of the buttons that are required here. I might just keep that as a coin, or I might use that for something else. I probably want to create some sort of inserts on the buttons once I get more familiar on what buttons I'll actually need. I think for the most part, these 4 buttons here aren't going to be utilized unless you're using pinball arcade, I think it is. But we shall see. I got the daisy chain clips all soldered on. These things are going to go on the switches that I'm about to put on here. Let's begin. All right, so they're all wired up. Just a couple notes. The black wire is on the bottom clip, and then the red is on the very top. What I mean by that is there's 2, I guess, clips that are, adjacent to one another. And then there's a base clip that's sort of shaped like an L, right? The L is the negative. That's the black wire, right? And what else do we have here? The other one is here. And same sort of thing. Bottom one is the black wire, and the top one is the red wire. So that's true on all of these. There's the bottom, there's the top, and then the bottom here, and then the top. So now we've just got to connect all these together. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take all the reds and I'm going to solder them together. and then all the blacks, and I'm gonna solder them together. And then what I'm gonna do is find the coin wire here, and I'm gonna solder, that main wire to the main red and black wires here. So I'm gonna go out and do that, and then we'll be officially done. All right, so I quickly identified that I was going to have a cable management issue on my hands. So what I did is I just tucked all these down here, and then I used my last little anchor zip tie thing, and I just stuck it on here. There's a bit of plastic there, and this actually fits perfectly. And then, I'm a dad here, so I braided the wires here as best as I could for what it is. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna solder these two things together, right? And then I'm going to find one of the wires that are for the coin, and then I'm gonna solder the joint here together with that wire. So this looks pretty clean. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna feed this up, and then I've got another anchor that's just behind here. So it's gonna look something like that, right? So it's gonna be pretty clean. And I'm not gonna worry about, the wires getting clipped there. That looks pretty good, I think. So I'm gonna go ahead and find the coin wire. All right, so I've fed the braided black and white or black and red wire through the anchor zip tie thing at the top, so it's nice and clean, comes around. Now the thing is this coin button has, the green one up there, has two of these coming out of it, right? One is to the LED and one is to the input. So what I did is I took one of those off, and it didn't matter which one, right? As long as the one that remains, up there is going into the button board that says LED. Basically on the right side here is the input, and the left side is the LEDs. You can see it written on the board. So I'm gonna go ahead and chop this in half, this wire here, and I'm going to basically connect these two together. That's essentially a total of 4 wires. That's why I've got this all braided, right? So it's all, clean, I suppose. But I'm gonna solder those two connections into the black so that, that it's basically, all one join here. I'm gonna do the same thing with the red. I'm gonna go ahead and get started. All right, there she is. I got it soldered, and then I used heat shrink wrap. And then as always, I always wrap it in electrical tape as well. The solder is pretty thick because you've got 4 wires, and then, the ends also going into it. A little tricky, but I think it's gonna work here. I'm gonna go ahead and plug these two in the button that I took out, and then also plug in the clip on the input side. All right, so it's the second from the bottom on the right. The right side is the input. The left side is the LED. It's clearly written on the board. That's pretty much it. I'm gonna go ahead and start seeing if this stuff works. Got the launch button. So what I've done is I've put the input wire, again, looking back at the board. Negative goes on the bottom one, then the middle is the red, that will be always on, well, depending on the game, I guess. I had to bend the wires a little bit because, or the clamps, because the, what am I thinking about? This sucker, the plunger, the plunger here, it was getting too close to the actual prong itself. It was making me a little nervous. So I'm gonna go ahead and stick this in now. One thing to note is the LEDs. Again, the LED wire, you're using the positive and negative. It doesn't matter which one, I'm pretty sure. Goes in what? You'll know if it's not working. These little prongs are bigger than the regular ones, so I had to slightly modify this just to make it larger so they'd fit the clamp. But now I think I'm finally done.